I have survived life's journey and the things that was thrown at me that was meant to take me out early on in life. So I'm thankful that I'm not the only survivor, and that although others were victimized, like, we don't have to stay the victim, but have the desire to thrive in life. And that means you need to heal. You have to choose to heal. Somebody would open up to you. I'm going to start with that, because sometimes we don't know how to respond in that moment. And all you need to say is, I believe you, and thank you for trusting me.
Today's guest is Amber McCutcheon, a wife, mum of many, and survivor of sexual trauma. She hit her wall in 2010, realizing that never dealing with her lifetime of abuse was affecting her in every area in her relationships in her life. She became desperate enough to begin a healing journey that still continues today. She has taken what was meant to destroy her and is using it to bring beauty and healing to many others. Welcome, Amber.
So excited. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share with your friends and platform.
What is one of the most courageous things you've done? After just reading what I've done, I have no idea what you are going to say, because you could say probably so many.
Well, I appreciate the introduction, and I would say the most courageous thing I've probably ever done was choose to heal from my past. I know for many years I just didn't deal with it, and I thought that was an option. Hence, I didn't understand that it affected every relationship in my life. You know, my dad was my perpetrator, and I have memories as early as 2. And that went on for quite some time in my life. As I said, as I hit my wall, I was 32 years old at that point in time, and I had 7 kids. I now have 12. I didn't think that I was worth the work. I didn't think that investing into myself and healing myself was necessary, but I felt like I wanted to be better for my kids. And so it was really my kids and what I wanted for them that motivated me, that gave me the courage to start being fearless, you know. And I was so full of fear. I was fearful of, you know, what would people think, and how would they treat me, and would they believe me, or would they not believe me? And I realized that, like, whether people believe me or not, it doesn't change my reality. My reality is I survived very tragic things in my life, and others don't have to validate that. They weren't part of my story necessarily, and so I don't need their approval. And, you know, I started out on a journey in 2010 looking for healing, looking for hope, looking to know that I wasn't alone, you know, because I felt so alone. I remember even being a teenager in high school and thinking, you know, looking around my school and thinking nobody else would understand my craziness. Oh my goodness, what a fool. Because so many more than what people want to open their eyes or their minds to experience sexual trauma. I know, you know, I'm here in the United States, and statistics are 1 in 3 by the time we're 18 for girls. But this isn't just United States. I know worldwide this is a global issue. And for guys, it's 1 in 6.
Absolutely.
You know, guys aren't excluded. It's not sexual trauma is not a respecter of persons or age or, you know, ethnic or, you know, what's in your bank account. You know, it doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. Like, this is a global issue that we have. And I think oftentimes we can get stuck in thinking that nobody else would understand. Nobody else would. And how would they treat us if they really knew? And oftentimes we're betrayed by people who we are supposed to trust. It's not strangers. 90% of the time, it's people who we know and have access to us, who've had some kind of relationship with us. I hit that wall in 2010. I was looking for some tools to heal. I was tired of being broken. I was tired of feeling like damaged goods by the things that had happened to me. So I went to a place that caters to women. They help with pregnancies and different things like that. And I thought if there's any resources in our area, they would know about it. And there was nothing. There was nothing in the surrounding areas, like several hours out, there was nothing. And it was disheartening. And I ended up having that turned around on me and given an opportunity to step up where there was a gap. I didn't feel equipped. I didn't feel qualified in any of that, but I'm thankful for that opportunity. And that's how really my nonprofit, my ministry has started, and it's called Hope, Healing Our Past Experiences. But it really started out of brokenness, a necessity to heal.
And unfortunately, still today, there is so much abuse still happening around the world.
Absolutely.
And it is,
We are seeing more.
as we share our stories, we're helping
Absolutely.
others.
We're seeing more and more kids hurting kids. I've taught several conferences, did different seminars and things like that. And I would often ask the question, like, if I ask you to draw a picture of a perpetrator, would anybody in this room ever draw a child? And probably not, because we have this certain idea of what somebody's going to look like or sound like or be like. But in reality, the sexualization of our children have become younger and younger, that now children are sexualizing children. They're acting it out on others. So how can we, take the courage that has been given to us to speak out? How can we use the very things that were meant to destroy our lives and bring good out of them by sharing with others? You're not alone. You're not defined by the things that have been done to you, or even the things that you've done. Like, you can choose from this day forward to be different, to do different, to be the change that you want for your life, for your future, for your family. That's really how my journey began back in 2010. I would have never envisioned where I'm at today, being able to turn around and speak life into other people's lives. I giggle about, I kind of laugh about, I get you're crazy, because sometimes we feel crazy behind the scenes. You're like, it's irrational. And it's like, no, but I get that. Like, I know that mindset. I lived that for a long time. But, I was a functional member of society. I owned my own business. I was a mom to many. I was active in the community, but people didn't know the brokenness behind the mask that I wore, so to speak. Because I knew how to put the mask on that made everybody feel good. But on the inside, I was so desperate and so alone, even in a room full of people. So I want to encourage that, if your struggle has been similar, that if you've experienced things in life that has just kind of knocked the wind out of you, or even knocked the will out of you to live because you feel so desperate, that, like, no, you're not alone. I've struggled and coped with life in many different ways. I remember being a teenager. I was 13 in Germany. From the time I was 1 until I was 11, so about 10 years I lived in Germany, which I enjoy that experience so much. I love it. I would love to go back. But when I came to the States, right before I came to the States, is when I first told my mom what was going on. And I didn't tell her everything, because nobody ever, like, opens up the door and spills it all. But, I had come to the understanding through a talk that had happened at school, how babies were made and those kind of things. And I remember this fear overcoming me, being in 5th grade, being 11, and thinking, oh my goodness, could I be pregnant by my father? And that was really the breaking point for me, in thinking that I've known for a long time I didn't like what was going on, but I didn't realize that it wasn't going on in everybody's family. I didn't realize that it wasn't normal, because it was normal in my household.
Absolutely.
I remember we were getting ready to move to the States. This was in 1989. I took an opportunity to talk to my mom. And, we started out the conversation, and she was guessing neighbors and people who had access to me. And she was so warm and so compassionate, until I said that it was my dad, and her shoulders went back and she got really cold with me. And there's a saying that says, everyone has a skeleton in the closet. But she said, that's where they stay, and we're never going to talk about this again. That means you got the secrets in the closet. You've got these dark things in the closet, but we're not talking about this anymore. And I remember being so heartbroken at 11 years old, because I wanted my mother to step up and be the protector. I wanted my mother to step in and make it go away, and I didn't have to deal with it anymore. And I felt betrayed by my mom in that moment. I felt like she didn't believe me. And I've come to find out later on in life that it wasn't that she didn't believe me. She had went on to say, I had an uncle. And then she named that uncle, but I forgot this for a while. Like, it took me a while for my memory to process this. And so in reality, like, she couldn't help me because she had never healed from her stuff. So she couldn't deal with mine if she had never dealt with hers.
God.
And I say that, it is
Absolutely.
important that if we've had, things happen in our life, that we take ownership of what we're responsible for. We're responsible for our healing. We're not responsible for those who betrayed us or traumatized us or rejected us. We're not responsible for any of that, but we are responsible to choose to heal. And healing is a gift that we can say yes to, or we can say no to. We can reject it, but it's something that will transform and change your life and be able to bring joy where maybe you felt none for a long time.
Absolutely. And healing is so important. Yes. I mean, I myself have been sexually abused, and I never thought I'd be talking about it here, especially on my show. Right. And you'd be surprised how many guests I've had that have spoke about it. It is so important. And you do feel alone. Of course you do. You think nobody else would understand. And then you do get people that might be doubtful. I'm not saying everyone is like that. It affects every relationship. As a parent, your upbringing, everything, your relationships with other partners.
Absolutely. And with my husband, I met him when I was 13 and he was 15, and we've been together ever since. We've actually been together for 31 years, which makes me sound kind of old, but I'm only 44. And so we've been married for 26 years, and, I wasn't looking.
So that must have been hard then, knowing him at that young age.
So
How did
I say
that
all that
come
because
about?
he's been through, I say, hell and back with me, because as a teenager, my abuse came out, or the social services got involved for a bit. And I was put back in my home and told to learn to live with it, because they didn't believe me, because I didn't cope with life in the way they thought I should have coped. And so at that point in time, I was really, I became suicidal, all the while going to school and being a cheerleader and doing really great in school because I wanted acceptance. What I did, I would work hard to be accepted. He's been through this journey with me to where he has an appreciation and a passion for people. He makes it possible for me to do what I do when I get to love on others and help lead them through their healing process. And he'll come alongside me as we speak with couples to bring in understanding when your partner, because when I say it affects every relationship, it's not the one just behind closed doors with my husband or your significant other or your partner, but it's in your relationship with your kids. It's in the relationship with my creator. It's in my relationship with my friends, because I didn't ever want to be hurt again in my life. I would limit or withhold like how I would love people. I would always be cordial. I would always be kind, but I always had this wall up that was like, I felt like a layer of protection. Like, you can't hurt me if I won't let you pass this certain area in the relationship.
Absolutely.
But what I learned is that when we build those walls up and we think it's protection, it ends up becoming a prison. It's like where there's no way in, there's no way out, and we isolate ourselves. And, and the remedy to that really is, as we heal, is relationships, having healthy relationships, having others who know you and like know the all, and they still love you. Like, they're not rejecting you. Like, they embrace that, and they're part of your journey to help you heal, to help you overcome. As a mom, I've had to go back and apologize, because like my oldest daughter would say, "Mom, when you were broken, we were broken." And she said that a couple of years into my journey, and others would be like, "Oh my gosh, that's harsh." And I said, but at the point in time she said it to me, it was not, because she realized that I had did the work, and that as I chose to heal, I made a way for them to heal. And so, I never abused my kids necessarily, but I was broken, and I felt like maybe I wasn't emotionally available to the extent that I needed to be to them, because I still didn't know how to be that mom. I didn't know how to be a healthy mom. I've never seen that lived out in my life. My oldest daughter was 11 when I started my healing journey. She's now 22, getting ready to be 23. I love that I have seen them rise up and be confident women. I have 7 daughters and 5 sons. And they each in their own way, like the kids who never knew the broken mom, oh my gosh, you can see this difference, because they just exude confidence, especially at even an early age. And it's beautiful. And I'm like, sometimes it's heartbreaking for me to like see the older ones where they've struggled a bit, but like I really have to give myself some grace in that, and know that like I did the best I could with what I had, but I'm thankful that I didn't settle there. and that I always wanted more for them, include, and then it led to wanting more for myself. I wanted to be whole. I wanted to be healed. I wanted to be a functional, like,
And
authentic member of
yeah,
society, not
and
just wearing a
definitely,
mask.
you got to feel you're worth
Yeah,
it as well to overcome
absolutely.
it, because that can be a big
Well, so
thing.
many feel
Some
like
people
they're
just
not
don't
enough,
feel they're
or that,
worth
like,
it.
related to me like damaged goods. When others have used you and kind of
Mm,
abused you and objectified you, you feel like an object that can be tossed out. And so, like, you
yeah.
are worth it. You are an amazing human. I don't care who you are. Like, you are an amazing human. And you have to figure
Yes,
out, like, what
absolutely.
does your recipe for restoration? I love to cook. So, like, figuring out what ingredients are needed for your healing journey, because it's not going to look identical to the person to the left or to the right of you. There's going to be different parts
Absolutely
of your
not.
story,
No.
areas that you're going to need to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
And I know forgiveness is hard, but I was tired of my
Mm-hmm.
past bullying me in my present. And so, like, forgiving wasn't about saying that that was okay. That's not what it's ever about. But it was relinquishing the control that the person still had over me through the things that they had done.
And it's coming out confident,
Mm-hmm.
because confidence plays a big part. You find
Absolutely.
predators
The
usually,
only thing
you
that a
know,
perpetrator fears is confidence. It's the only thing. But what's stripped away from us, along with
mm,
our innocence as children or even as adults, you're made vulnerable through the actions and the betrayal of
yes,
others.
absolutely.
So you have to take back what was stolen from you, so to say, and
Mm-hmm.
begin to build back and know, you know what, I am worth it. And I am loved and I am
Yes.
wanted. And I have others who are for me. Start building that circle up. And you have to be a little vulnerable, but make sure that they're honorable, make sure that they're trustworthy people who you're letting in that inner group, so to speak, in your life. You want people who are going to speak truth,
Yes.
but truth in love. People are speaking to
Mm,
you and it's always tearing you down, and they say, well, that's the truth. That's not done in love. So you
not
want to make
really.
sure that you have people in your life who are going
Right.
to walk along the journey of healing with you, but doing it in love. And then you're accountable, and you'll see an accelerated growth in your life.
Mhm. Yes, definitely. And I know you're very passionate about your
Mm-hmm.
non-profit. How did that begin? And tell me more about that. What's it
So it's
called?
called HOPE, and it stands for Healing Our Past Experiences. We did become a nonprofit in 2017. I had kind of worked under the umbrella of another
Okay.
nonprofit first. Area of service was small. It was like Southeast Missouri here in the States. And I
Mm-hmm.
had been having opportunities across the United States, and I would be traveling, and they're like, so Amber, you really need to start your own nonprofit. I'm a little intimidated by that because I had never done that. I didn't know the ins and outs, so I had to learn
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And over the last 5 years, we're continuing to grow and learn. Being able to meet needs around the world is where my heart is at, because I want to put my language would be, I want to put hope in the hands of all of those who need to heal. I created a curriculum
Yes.
5 years ago that's a video-based curriculum. It's about 7 sessions.
Oh,
Probably
excellent.
different than what most people have experienced when you look through healing. I go in areas that others were like, I don't understand why we're going here, but like, you kind of have to like strip it down and start building from the foundation
Mm-hmm.
up. And one of the things you start with is you have to know I am, and what are the words you put after I am, because I am and what follows are like the most powerful words that you're speaking to yourself. So I am, is it positive or is it negative, and those kind of things. So we
Yes.
start out with building that foundation
Mm-hmm.
on which all of the rest of your healing can come on. And then there's just practical tools to be able to apply in your life,
That's excellent.
to be able to overcome. And it's not about, I've had other people who are like, okay, I watched all the videos, now what? And I was like, it's not about watching the videos. It's about taking what was
Yeah,
learned
it's
live.
actually embodying
Yeah,
them, doing
you
the
have to do the work.
work.
You have to do the work. And you're worth the work. But like, knowing that you're not alone. There are others that have walked this journey, are living in freedom, and who no longer feel broken. Like, you wouldn't be able to pick them out
Yes.
anymore because they're not struggling in those areas. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect, but I'm going to tell you that it's worth it. And so I am passionate, and
Yes.
I look around, and it's heartbreaking for so many who settle. Like I said, so many.
Yes.
And it's because you don't feel like you're worth it. And like I said, when I started this journey, I
Yes.
didn't feel like I was worth it. Like, my kids were worth it. I wanted more for my kids, but I didn't feel like I was worth it. And when I say healing is a gift, one of the things that I'm a really visual speaker when I speak, but like, if we had a gift and I was handing it to you
Uh-huh.
and you received it, you have choices with that gift. Like, Am I going to open it? Am I going to just throw it off in a
Yes.
closet and let it sit there for a little while because I don't know, I'm kind of unsure about this gift. But if I open it, I still have a choice. Okay, well, I opened this gift, but like, am I going to use it, or is it going to be one of like those kitchen gadgets you toss in a drawer and it just is sitting there, but we didn't ever really use it for its potential? So like, not only do you receive this gift, but when we have a gift of healing, it's not just for ourselves. Because when you start healing,
No,
others
absolutely.
around you go, whoa, what's going on? They take note because you have a confidence that wasn't there before. You start walking differently and you start carrying yourself differently.
Definitely.
And you start seeing yourself differently because you're no longer defined by what was done to you. You're not a victim. Like, you can be
Absolutely.
victorious in life. And so I use the word survivor. Was I victimized? Absolutely, I was victimized. But I am a survivor. I have survived life's journey and the things that was thrown at me that was meant to take me out early on in life. And so I'm thankful that I'm not the only survivor, and that although others were victimized, like, we don't have to stay the victim. Like, it's a mentality that we
No, absolutely
survive
not.
life or we can thrive in life. My heart would be that everyone would have the desire to thrive in life, and that means you need to heal. You have to choose to heal.
What resources do you recommend? I know this is a tough question to anyone that wants to open up about communicating their abuse, whether it's with family members or teachers, or it could be friends.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you would recommend that they feel confident or feel safe in doing, and how would they go about that?
So I'm going to speak to two sides of that. I'm going to answer it in two different ways. One, I'm going to the person who maybe somebody would open up to you. I'm going to start with that because sometimes we don't know how to respond in that moment. And all you need to say is, I believe you and thank you for trusting me.
Yes. Okay, that's excellent.
Because we can say, and not meaning this, but I'm going to use this as an example. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened to you. When somebody shares with you, if you react that way in your mind, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe they had this happen in their life. And you're in shock. But what the other person heard is disgust and disbelief. Like, they don't believe me. I can't believe this happened to you. It's not what you said, but it's how it's received. So how you receive when somebody opens up to you matters. I believe you and thank you for trusting me. I follow it up, especially if it's children. Are you still in harm's way?
Yes.
Like, you need to know if it's somebody that is still hurting them, because then you have a responsibility as a decent human being to help get them some help immediately. I don't care who you are, or where you're at, or who they named. It doesn't matter who they named. You're going to help them get the help. You're going to help them have a voice in that aspect. But for the one who would be opening up, it's kind of like a trust exercise. And whoever you open up to, you, and generally, like, you're not going to go share your everything. So let it be somebody that you do trust. If it's a close friend and maybe you've never shared that you've had, that you were raped or that you were betrayed, or, you know, maybe it was these things that you thought nobody would believe you, or it wasn't that big of a deal. And here's the deal. You could have been violated and your clothes could still be on, because I know people who have had trauma who were grabbed or touched or, you know, assaulted with their clothes on, if that makes sense. And people want to minimize. They want to minimize, and they're like, well, you weren't really like raped or anything, but like, they still have after effects of that. They still don't like the way people touch them because of the way that others had made them feel in that aspect. So don't minimize your trauma.
Absolutely.
Know that if you're still having after effects, that's an indicator that you need to heal. And don't compare your trauma to somebody else's. Well, it's not as bad as, okay, but is it affecting your life? And when you choose to trust somebody, and I'll tell you, like, Anita can share my email. You can send me, we can make arrangements. I don't care to talk to anybody. Like, and I don't charge to talk to anybody. I will be your person to help navigate something else beyond me, no matter where you're at. But I don't care to be the icebreaker. I don't care to be that first person to be like, I get it, I understand, and thank you. Now, what can we do beyond this to help move in the healing process? But if you have people in your life that, like, you know that they're trustworthy, and you share and you say, hey, I need to get this off my chest. I've been carrying this around for a long time. I just need you to listen and know that I'm sharing this because I trust you. Lets the other person know that you're just needing them to listen for a minute. You're not expecting them to solve the problem or do anything about it, but also like it sets it up to where it gives you a serious moment with them, and you can share what you need to share in that moment. And I promise that when you no longer carry it as a secret, because secrets make us sick, like they can physically make
Yes.
us sick with anxiety and your body and your muscle. It's crazy science. We can look it up, but like secrets make us sick. So when you start, and you don't have to share your secret with the world, it's somebody else. Like you get it out of your system and you start sharing, and you'll probably share just a bit. You're not going to share the whole story. You may share a paragraph in your book of life or a sentence in your book of life. And they'll take that and they'll process that. You have to build trust somewhere in your life. That's key in that, whether it's your spouse or a best friend, or sometimes it can be pastors or counselors, or, all of these different things, but somebody that you trust, that that you can be vulnerable with.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. That's really good. And yes, I would definitely be putting all your details in the links. If anybody wants to reach out, please do. There are so many helplines out there now, online, telephone numbers
and
where it doesn't cost you anything.
When you're looking online and you're like, I don't know. Because when I was looking for help, like I did look online because it's easy to hide behind a screen and not be as vulnerable. I'm going to be real. It's easier to be like, oh, I could do that. And there are a lot of great helplines across there, but there's even some anxiety in calling that if you don't know who's at the other end, So when I say, hey, I don't care to help you navigate other resources. I'm not the everything, but I will join with you and be like, I will listen to you, and then we'll navigate what resources you need. And I will do my best to help you link arms with other people. In my logo for Hope, the O it's arms that are linking, because it's like an army marching forward. And when you know that you're not alone and there's others who have experienced like things in life, but are still moving forward, sometimes this life gets hard and we don't have it in us to march forward. So it's key to have others around us who are still moving forward, who are going to hold us accountable in that. You can join in on that. You can be part of the people who are choosing to not settle for less than, who are not being defined by the things that were done to them, and march forward on your healing journey.
And that's absolutely beautifully put. Thank you. So where can the listeners find you online? What's your website?
So the website is the number 2 and then tryhope.com. And so it's really simple to find. When I was creating that and I was contemplating like what to call and how to really make it easy for people to find, I think people have tried so many other things in life, whether we were coping with life or just surviving life. But like, it's time to the number 2, try hope. And so that's again, to tryhope.com.
Yes. Thank you for sharing your courageous, inspirational journey with us today. And by doing so, I know you have helped so many others just by being here, and they will listen to your story. Amber McCutcheon.
Thank you, Anita.
So what is your definition of courage?
Pushing past the fear to be able to know that there's a better outcome. I didn't go into this thinking, oh, this is a great idea. Like, I want to do this, but like courage came when I really pushed past the fear of how I didn't feel equipped and how I wasn't good enough. And as I began stepping past that and over that fear, the courage began to rise up more and more as I, one step after the other, kept pursuing my healing and knowing that I wasn't the only one worth it, but there were so many others that were going to be blessed through my healing process. My family there's friends who are. I learned how to finally have healthy relationships, but courage didn't come overnight. But it came in that first step of overcoming that first fear, of moving past it and not letting fear be what closed the door for me.